Back to Canada's boxing channel and Bill from boxing.
Bill knows boxing.
Bill knows boxing. I almost said Bill from boxing. I'm sorry, Bill. So with a bit of luck and our mastery of technology, we should now both be recording this, so I can upload this to my channel and you can upload this to your channel as well at the same time.
Excellent. Hopefully it all works out.
And if it doesn't, we will learn that we are technologically retarded anyhow. So, at least I am.
Time for I'll accept defeat and get the younger generation.
Yeah. So, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, things are good. You know, I have a long-standing injury that plays up every now and then, and I just got through a period where it wasn't so good. So now it's okay again. So hey, life's okay.
All right. And are you excited about Saturday's fight? Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan is the fight I'm referring to. The first world title fight between two Irish fellows in Ireland.
And one from the north and one from the south. So it actually plays out very well that they have that north-side divide or the north-south divide. And, you know, not to go too deep into the religious side of it, but there is that religious divide as well. One's a Catholic, one's a Protestant. So it's actually it's actually set up quite nicely for, the divide. And then we know from the first fight that there was those late blows from Paddy Donovan. So there's a little bit of edge to it as well.
Would I be correct in assuming that Lewis Crocker is a Protestant from Belfast and that Paddy Donovan happens to be a Catholic? Is that's how the sectarian split is?
Yeah, that's correct. And he's from Limerick, so he's from down south, and Crocker is more from the north. He'd be an Antrim to the northwest.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And it's being held in Windsor Park, right?
It is, yeah. It's the same venue as the last time.
Right.
Which I'm not sure about that. I think maybe Donovan deserved to have it in Limerick this time because, they did it in Belfast the last time. Maybe they could have done it in Limerick this time. But it is what it is.
I guess also, officially, Lewis Crocker won the last fight.
He did.
I have my views about that. I've never spoken to you about your views on that. How did you think that went down?
I've seen it. I've seen the ending of it. And, Donovan was winning the fight. There can be no dispute about it. He was ahead on points. He was winning the fight. Nobody could claim that Crocker was winning. But as we know, Donovan hit him maybe twice after the final bell, and rules are the rules. And Crocker won. The record books say that Crocker won. Now, do I think that do I think it was fair? If you're a stickler for the rule, and if you say the rule is the rule is the rule, then you have to accept that the rule is that punches after the final bell shouldn't count. And either you allow the guy who has got hit after the bell, you either allow him 5 minutes to recover, or you decide that, well, he won because the other guy, you could argue that, Donovan was considered to have cheated because he hit after the bell.
Yeah.
So by the letter of the law, yes, I suppose Crocker did win, but I expect Donovan to be better this time. I expect him to be a little bit more careful with his hands. He did have a problem earlier in that fight as well, where he was a bit. He did throw a little after the bell as well, so that's an area that he has to be conscious of, and I think that he definitely has to be a little bit more careful. Now, does that take an edge off Donovan? That would be interesting to see. Is he too careful? And then you look at Crocker and you say, well, is Donovan so much better than Crocker? Or did the real Crocker not show up that night? And are we going to get a better Crocker?
Yeah.
But I hope that Donovan just simply does a better job this time and proves that the last time was just a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, as an independent with no sort of dog in the fight, I thought that Paddy Donovan had trouble keeping his emotions in check, but I actually thought that the referee made it much, much worse. And of course, at the very end, the referee was out of position. And so instead of being able to jump in and separate the fighters, he was out of position. And I honestly don't know if Paddy Donovan or Lewis Crocker heard that bell, auditory exclusion.
Yeah.
So, yes, Paddy Donovan was officially in the wrong, but I think that the ref the ref made it much, much worse. I mean, I thought Paddy Donovan simply was the better fighter on the night, and I thought that Lewis Crocker never really got underway. Now, I have heard or read, I think, that Lewis Crocker may not have been himself that night. Billy Nelson, I think, was saying that he wasn't himself. So will we see a different Lewis Crocker, or, is Paddy Donovan simply going to be the better fighter? What do you think is going to happen?
I would always question, having watched a couple of Bacoli fights and how underprepared he goes into the ring. I would always be suspicious of anything that Billy Nelson says, because
yeah, I have to agree.
His guys are never prepared, and it's always their fault. It's never his fault. So I take what Billy Nelson says with a large pinch of salt.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree based on, when you look at Martin Bacoli, I think Billy Nelson should probably be quiet for quite a while. But do you think that Lewis Crocker can do better this time?
He was completely outclassed in the first fight, and you would like to think that it would be a more competitive fight. And if it is that he didn't show up, and if it is that the real Lewis Crocker didn't show up, well then, if that's true, then it stands to reason that he has to be better this time round. But he was so outclassed that I see, yes, he could be better, but I don't see him beating Donovan. I think Donovan was just too good. And I expect Donovan to be more precise this time, and to be a little bit more careful with his hands, and to, good fighters look good. Anybody in any career, any discipline you have, if you have an experience where it doesn't go wrong, you learn from that experience and you're a bit better the next time around. So I'd imagine that Donovan he'll just be better. I think, and I accept that Crocker will improve, but I don't think Crocker will make that much of a leap, because there was quite a difference between the two.
Yeah, I wonder also, Crocker really had a beating laid upon him.
Yeah.
How will that affect him psychologically? Because Donovan has to have the bit between his teeth. Like, he knows he can hurt Crocker. He knows he can actually, give Crocker a beating, not just a win, but a real beating. So I would think that Crocker would have all that confidence and enthusiasm, where Donovan would have that, and maybe Crocker would have be somewhat nervous, I would think.
Yeah, Donovan for me is looking to continue what he was doing in the first fight. Crocker is looking for a complete restart. And I like I said, based on the first fight, it's all you can do, because we haven't seen them fight together previously. Based on the first fight, the only logic to take from it is that Donovan was better, but he was a little reckless with his hands. And again, we've seen referees; they can really have a huge impact on the fight.
Yeah,
if they're doing their job, if they are paying attention, they can make the difference. And maybe Donovan doesn't get disqualified the last time if the ref is doing the better job. As you said, he was out of position, and a ref out of position makes a difference. So I expect Donovan to win, and I expect it to be a little bit like the last one, but maybe Crocker will be a bit better. But I don't see it. I don't see the difference. I don't see Crocker winning. I don't think he's going to be that much better.
Have
What do you think?
have you seen what the betting odds are in Ireland? I haven't checked here in my part of the
No,
world.
I don't actually. I don't pay attention to the odds. I just kind of. So I don't really place any bets down. I just kind of watch. I just kind of watch along and just see and just enjoy the action. So I'd imagine, based on the first fight, without seeing the odds, I'd imagine that Donovan is favourite,
Yeah.
just because he was genuinely so much better than Crocker in the first fight.
Is there a lot of excitement in the Republic about this fight? Or are people?
There is talk. Yeah, it is getting some traction. You see it online, and you see like people are talking about it, and even the BBC have been talking about it as well. So
Oh, right.
it's made the BBC sports website as well, and so there is genuine interest, and I think the North-South thing gives that little extra bit of spice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the media have to be somewhat careful about promoting that because it's been it's an issue that could sort of get out of hand, right? So I guess it's not like a local derby, Man U versus Man City. It's a much bigger political issue as well.
Yeah, and I suppose what you would like to think is that it's simply boxing, and that the politics the politics doesn't really play a part because people are not talking about the politics of it. Like it's referenced that they're north-south divide. It is referenced that one is a Catholic, one is a Protestant, but it's only referenced. Nobody's actually making any big thing about
Right.
it. So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that all the action is in the ring and that we don't get any spillover.
We've seen it in other fights, like without any kind of, historical stuff going on. Like some fights just continue outside the ring.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fans get involved, and it all gets a bit ugly. But I don't think it happened. It didn't happen in the first fight, so I'd like to think that it won't happen this time.
Well, and sometimes alcohol might be a factor, right? And I suspect that there may be alcohol served at Windsor Park, or at least some of the boys might have had a few tipples before the fight.
You drowned.
Well, I'm looking forward to this fight. I like you. I tend to think that Paddy Donovan is going to prevail. And hopefully it's going to be a really good, all action fight. The best man wins. I think it could be fun. I think it could be a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, definitely. More than what's going on elsewhere, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, in the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, we've got, of course. I saw somebody today.
Absolute no hopers. These guys, nobody's ever heard of them. Two no hopers.
I saw somebody today was saying online that this is the fight of the century, and I thought that was sort of overstating it a little bit. Though, of course, I from the perspective of people watching, because of course it's free on Netflix. And Canelo, especially Canelo, is possibly one of the most well-known boxers in the world. It's an interesting fight. I am excited about it. And I think I'm in a very small minority of people that's put some money on Bud Crawford winning. Most people seem to think that Canelo's going to win. Canelo's 63 2-2, lost only to B-Ball and Floyd. Drew back in
another two absolute no hopers.
Yeah, no, two unknown people. Yeah, and of course Bud Crawford is unbeaten. Moved all the way now up to 140, 147, 154. Skipped 160. and making his debut at 168 against inarguably the best 168er that's still active.
Crawford has said that he doesn't see himself going beyond 154. So while I think he can win, I think that his own admission about the concern about the weight is a problem. And the fact that, Canelo has been fighting at 168 now for a while and is perfectly comfortable at 168. Crawford, I think, has the speed, even though he's older, I think he hasn't shipped as much damage as Canelo. I think that in some ways he's fresher, and in some ways he might have the energy. But the jump to 168, you've seen it with one of the all-time greats, Roy Jones Jr.
Yes.
When he went to heavyweight and he came back down to light heavyweight and he went in against Harvard and he hadn't weight adjusted and he got beat.
Yeah.
And if he had weight adjusted, I've no doubt he would have beaten Harvard. But he went in against Tarver and he got pretty easily beaten. So I think Crawford can win. I think if Crawford starts strong and can keep it going, I think he can win. However, he has never taken shots from a 168 guy.
No.
Bivell's been taking shots from 168 guys. So, I think it's a problem. The weight is a problem. And, Crawford's own admission that he's a 154 at best guy, that's.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if I lose my money, put it that way. Maybe it's more emotion and hope than a serious analysis. But I'm also concerned that, once Crawford tastes Canelo's power, like he's never really taken shots from anybody who can hit as hard as Canelo. That, like the weight alone, right? Whereas Canelo, we know, can take shots like Triple G hit him really flush. Bivol it was 175er. He was pounding shots on him, and nothing seems to, like, Canelo's got an iron chin and the neck on him. He's built to take those heavy shots.
But there's one thing in Crawford's favor, is that you've seen it with the likes of Joe Joyce and people like that at heavyweight, that eventually the chin is cracked, and then eventually the chin is not as good as it once was.
Yeah.
And Bivell's got damaged. He's taken a lot of, sorry, not Bivell, Canelo. He's taken shots. He's taken damage. He is slower than he was. His footwork isn't as good. He doesn't move the way he used to move. And I think that Crawford can win. If he can stay with Canelo, I think he can win. I think he can probably get a TKO. I'm not sure he can win on points. I have a suspicion that Canelo's got it wrapped if it goes to points. But I think that, it is possible that if Crawford is at his peak on the night, that he can maybe get a TKO.
Well, that's the only chance for my bet to come in. Like you, I am somewhat doubtful that in Vegas, because I think Vegas gives Canelo 2 rounds up before the fight starts. He's loved in Vegas. I also
he's the hometown boy. He's the hometown boy without being the hometown boy.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's a good way to put it. I also put a small bet on it being a draw, because I thought if Crawford has actually edged it on points, they don't want to give it to Crawford, but they might give it as a draw. So,
It's terrible, though, isn't it? I mean, here is potentially the fight of the year, and we're like, yeah, it won't go Crawford's way, even if Crawford's winning.
I mean, maybe I'm just being really stupidly cynical, which is totally possible, of course. But, I don't have a lot of faith, to be honest, in judging. We've seen some interesting decisions come down the pike over the years. and the big
Something
money.
to consider.
Say again?
I think something to consider is the fact that allegedly this is Crawford's last fight, and that Canelo has future fights lined up.
Yes.
And I wonder, again, the cynical side of me comes out and says, "Well, is that going to mean that if it goes the distance, that Canelo gets it based on the fact that he's got future business, whereas Crawford may be hanging it up afterwards?" Now, maybe Crawford doesn't hang it up. Maybe Crawford says, "No, I can do this. I can do it at this weight." Maybe he will continue, but I have a sneaky suspicion that if Canelo gets a decision, then that could be it for Crawford. And the other thing that would concern me was that because it's a 168 and Crawford's never been here before, if he's not able to take Canelo's power, that maybe it's not controversial. Maybe he could just get stopped, and maybe that's just it. Maybe Canelo can just stop him.
Yeah, I mean, Canelo hasn't stopped anybody since, is it 2021? I think.
Yeah, but the difference is that he's been fighting people at 168.
Yeah, that's true.
They've been meeting him at 168.
Yeah.
That's the problem for Crawford. Crawford's coming up 2 weight classes.
Yeah.
To do this 168 fight, whereas Canelo's been comfortable fighting people at 168. So it's all on Crawford to prove that he can make those differences and that he can actually make it happen. I would say Canelo is favourite, but I do see a way for Crawford to win. I think a TKO is possible with an accumulation of action, and that maybe he can wear down Canelo, because if you look at Canelo's footwork, it's not as good as it was.
No, that's true.
And if Crawford can handle the weight, that's where I think Crawford's got a shot.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow, right? Are you going to get up in the middle? Are you getting up in the middle of the night to watch it?
I won't. I won't. I'll catch it later.
For me, it's a good time zone because Vegas is pretty much the same time as me. I think there's a 1 hour difference between Vegas and myself. So for me, the show starts at like 5 o'clock, and I'll spend my Saturday evening watching it free on Netflix. So I don't have to give up any of my beauty sleep, and it'll be a suitable time, and it'll get me out of doing horse chores.
Well, see, there you go. It's a win-win for you, my friend.
Yeah. You will be watching, I guess, the Lewis Crocker Paddy Donovan fight, though.
I will watch that one. Yeah, I'm more, like I said, I'm more interested in that one just because it's a local derby.
Yeah,
and I just have more of an attachment to feeling like I'd like Donovan to win, and I'd be a little disappointed if he loses. Whereas I'd like Crawford to win, but I won't. I don't expect him to win. So if he doesn't win, I won't be that disappointed. But I'd be more disappointed if Donovan lost, because I genuinely believe he'll win.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. Like, for me, slightly different. I want Crawford to win, but honestly, if he loses, first of all, I'm not really expecting him to win, and I don't actually care. But with Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan, I think Paddy Donovan was treated quite unfairly in the first fight. Mm-hmm. I know he broke the rules, but I think it was the ref to blame, to be honest. And so if he loses this fight, I will feel in some ways as though he got the raw end of the stick. So I think I'm on the same page as you. I actually care a little bit more about the Lewis Crocker Paddy Donovan fight than I do about Canelo and Crawford.
So, key question is Paddy Donovan Lewis Crocker the fight of the year? And is Canelo Crawford the supporting fight?
It could actually end up being like that with all the hype behind Canelo Crawford. It could be a bit of a dud.
We stumbled upon something. we've stumbled upon something. This is actually the fight of the year.
And
The Canelo Crawford thing is a bit of a fake beef, really, to be fair.
Well, and it wouldn't be the first time that you've had so much hype, and it could be a bit of a flat affair. I mean, Crawford says he's going to meet Canelo in the middle, but when Crawford tastes the power, he might decide to fight off the back foot, and it's going to be Canelo plodding around the ring trying to find him again, which will be like, oh, ho hum, another Canelo fight. I don't know.
Crawford wins only one way. He fights southpaw on the back foot.
Right.
If he stands in the pocket with Canelo, it's going to be a short night.
Yeah.
Because the power is the power is the power. And if you're not used to taking power from guys that are 2 weight classes ahead of you, as we know, weight classes are there for a reason.
For sure.
It's to keep it fairly respectable, keep it fairly even. If you're jumping up 2 weight classes and you've not tasted that power before on a consistent basis, you can't stand in the pocket and trade. You will be beaten.
Yeah,
even if Canelo, you could say that Canelo's slowing down. You could say Canelo has more wear and tear, but Canelo is used to doing 168.
Yeah.
So if Crawford, for me, can only win fighting southpaw on the back foot, if he trades with Canelo, he's done.
And there is an expression: a good big un will always beat a good little un, right? They could both be equally good fighters, but if they're equally good fighters, chances are that the big man is going to beat the little man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when the big man is comfortable at the weight.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And the little guy is basically winging it at the weight, going, I think I can do this, but I'm not sure. Let's find out.
And I've never done it, right? So this is the thing.
And the guy I'm fighting is considered one of the best in this generation. So hey.
Yeah, and he is. I mean, the names on Canelo's record, even if he caught some of them towards the end of their career or whatever, the names on Canelo's record are better than the names on Crawford's record. Like the resumes, they are lopsided. I mean,
yeah, I think he lost twice, right? But he lost twice to Dimitri Bivol and Floyd Mayweather.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody else loses to those guys, so it's not exactly a problem.
Yes, absolutely, yeah, right. I mean, and Crawford's best win is Errol Spence, maybe.
Yeah,
Errol Spence post traumatic car accident.
So you're not if you're balancing record against record, Canelo is ahead. If you're balancing 168 experience versus Crawford, Canelo's ahead. Crawford has to fight the perfect fight.
Yes.
Which is maybe, southpaw on the back foot. Because I don't think he can. I don't think he could have put on that much muscle in the last couple of months, and I don't think he can realistically trade with Canelo, because whether we think Canelo's slowing down or not, if you look at Canelo, he's physically a bigger guy.
Oh, yeah, and power's the last thing to go. So
Big George could always knock you out.
Yeah,
Big George might not have been able to catch you, but if he caught you, it was lights out.
As Michael Moorer found out.
Absolutely.
Before we go, I look at the clock up in the top corner there. What are your preliminary thoughts on Joe Parker and Fabio Wardley?
If Parker is the real deal, and if he is a genuine title contender, then I think he beats Wardley. Hooney gave Wardley the blues, and Wardley was quite lucky to have that Hail Mary shot that he won the fight with. So, like I said, if Parker is the real deal, he should win.
Yeah.
What would you think?
That's how I think. I mean, I like them both. I'll be happy with either man winning. I very much like Fabio Wardley. He might be my favorite British heavyweight, but I also like Joe Parker. But I think really Fabio Wardley's got to land that big right hand, and if Joe Parker is switched on, Fabio's not going to get the chance. I mean, Justice Hooney kind of took his eye off the ball, got too excited, youthful exuberance, inexperience, and he walked on to the big right hand. I don't see Joe Parker making the same mistake, and I think Joe Parker is every bit as good a boxer as Justice Hooney. So I think it's going to end in a win for Joe Parker.
And then he might get the Usyk fight.
Maybe. I don't know.
It is interesting that Turkey doesn't want that fight.
No, my fear as a fan is that we're going to see Fury 3, Usyk Fury 3, which I have. Of course, I'll watch it, but I'm not. That's not a fight that I want to see happen. I like to see them take their turns.
I actually wouldn't watch that fight. I've seen the story and I've seen the sequel, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit like the Rambo movies. You know, you've seen one, you don't need 5.
No, that's true. Anyway, Bill, I guess I should let you go, and we should upload our videos to our respective channels. And I'm pleased to see that you're still pumping out the content on your channel, and good luck.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give a shout out. Bill Knows Boxing. If you haven't been to Bill Knows Boxing, go to visit Bill Knows Boxing. Like, share, and subscribe. And also like, share, and subscribe to Canada's Boxing Channel.
Absolutely. You'd be missing out if you don't.
All right, my friend. Take it easy, and we'll talk probably after the big fights on Saturday.
Absolutely. Cheers, Bob.
Cheers, man. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.